Hello and welcome to another edition of Mr. Andersin Reviews. On tonight's program, we have the second issue to Night 2, which is hitting Kickstarter as we're filming this. So if you're watching this in a few weeks, you've probably already seen that it's gotten funded, because I think that the Night 1, just on merit alone, after I did the review, should actually warrant this issue being made. Now, with that said, let's go down and figure out how I felt about Night 2, the second issue, which we're now going to be doing a review of. So, as always, the first thing we do when we talk about Night 2, or any project for that matter, is we actually talk about the creative team behind it. So we had Guido Martinez, I think I'm pronouncing it the way he did, who is the writer and letterer, and we had him on Spoken Sins. We were talking a lot about how this Kickstarter was going to be, and now we're examining it. The book itself, that's going to be on Kickstarter, so if you're watching this during the Kickstarter, I'm giving you some insight on whether or not to invest in it. The penciler, Maruri, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong once again. The colorist is Marcus Odomus, and finally the inker is Victor Navaya, and I think someone else might have inked some of the pages that they're just not getting credit for right now in this particular credits page. I'll ask Guido Martinez when I talk to him again why that was, but basically after battling a man with razor-sharp skin and being invited to join a gathering for people considering themselves overhumans, Knight managed to acquire another piece of his soul and was approached by a mysterious woman calling herself Whisper. Now, if you haven't read issue number 1, some of this might come as a little bit of a spoiler. I'm going to do my best not to spoil anything, because I know some of you are coming from the Kickstarter to watch this and to actually determine whether or not you want to invest in the Kickstarter. And I know some of that's going to be based on the fact that you might not have read issue 1. So I'm going to try to keep this as spoil-free as I can. But again, because it's the second issue, there might be some things that do spoil it for you for issue number 1, which I believe is going to be offered in the Kickstarter. But like I said, we're doing this before the Kickstarter's gone officially live, so I don't have full details on it. So back here, oh, wow. We actually might have missed it. Here's the actual original Night 1, as I was just talking about review I did. You can't hear it. I've muted it. I'm going to let that play a little bit as I'm going through it, so you guys can see some of the stuff from Night 1, because I don't want to show anything for Night 2, because I don't really know what's out there yet. I don't know what they're putting out there for the Kickstarter. But seeing the stuff from Night number 1 should be good enough. We'll go full screen as I talk, and then we'll escape out of this in a few minutes. Now, the other questions we have on our list is this an ongoing series? Obviously, for an issue number 2, this is, in fact, an ongoing series. And issue number 2 is going to be available exclusively on Kickstarter for now. Later on, if you watch this video, I will update the Written Sins page to reflect where it is now being offered. But as of right now, it is going to be going live in a few hours on Kickstarter. So this is going to be your chance to be invested in it. And remember, for issue number 1, I definitely said it was worthwhile. I definitely said it was worth investing in. So keep that in mind. Now, we're going to go through our usual 7 questions format, and we're going to determine whether or not this second issue is actually worth investing in based upon my recommendations and how I felt about the project. With that said, we're also going to take a quick look at the fact that the creator was on Spoken Sins, and we talked actually somewhat about it towards the end of the program. So I'm going to call that up right now, and we're going to examine the part of the video, because some of these parts are actually kind of important to the story, as it were. So basically, for those who don't know, Night 1 was, I believe it was on Kickstarter, but I think something happened where it got pulled, but it wound up being released. It's a bigger story. This is some of the stuff from the first one. This is almost where you got to the cliffhanger at that point, and that was left off at this moment where he was, as it just said in the intro, because, you know, that's one thing that we can talk about, is that he's been offered to join a band of these overhumans, and he's been gotten 2 offers at this point, and this is the character Whisper that we talked about on the program. And here is some stuff. Now, on the preview, I was not given anything for the Chosen 2, but I am told the Chosen 2 might be in this Kickstarter, just as a heads up. But we're just going to skip past that because this is during the thing. We're going to show some of the. Here we go. Here's the exclusive stuff that you saw from night 2 that was on our program already. So this I can show you as it rolls, and I talk about the program itself. I mean the comic book itself. So here's the review. We're going to base this on the 7 questions we base every review on. Here we go. Quick description of the title in the creator's own words. We already read you that little blurb. For those just joining us again, we'll just go quickly back over that blurb and go right back to the video. The blurb itself is on the credits page. It says, after battling a man with razor-sharp skin and being invited to join a gathering for people considering themselves overhumans, Knight managed to acquire another piece of his soul and was approached by a mysterious woman calling herself Whisper. Knights of the New Age, Act 2, the Maiden and the Evil Sorcerer. The Maiden and the Evil Sorcerer. All right, so that's a quick description actually in the inner page of the book when I read it. So I didn't put anything else in there, but that's basically it. I'm sure Kickstarter will give you a little more insight, but for now, that's what I had to review it. My first impression of the title, now because I'm coming back to this when this is in issue number 2, my first impression was excitement. I got to continue the story. I got to see more about where the cliffhanger wound up going. It definitely helped that when I watched the interview on Spoken Sins with Mr. Martinez, I got more excited about the title, seeing the characters that were being brought in. And we'll actually go back to that video that's still playing right now. And it should be examining some of the characters. See, right here, this is some of that exclusive content. And this gives you a first couple pages of it. And we've already released it, so I feel comfortable in showing it to you again. These are that's Dragon Breath, which is a very interesting character. I really like Dragon Breath. And there's a couple other new characters. That dude right there, he's pretty badass. I don't want to go too much into it. I'm going to leave it for you guys to discover it on the Kickstarter page. Like I said, I don't like always giving too many spoilers, but I'll tell you this. The group that the Knight is going to be facing off against is not a simple group. That girl in particular is very interesting. I really liked her in the story. She was she's a very interesting character, actually, in the way that she handles her powers. It was very interesting. I don't want to give too much away, so I'm going to go back to our format, but as you're seeing, this is the stuff that was pre-released. Fantastic stuff. I really enjoyed it. And then I was very excited to actually see where it all led. Was I entertained and excited to turn the page? Yes. Being a second issue, it delivered a follow-up story that had me hooked already from page 1, and I really wanted to see where it went. It gave me a fair amount of action and story mixing together. I don't really felt like it ever stalled in any particular fashion. I think it kept going in a very nice, orderly fashion. It made me want to turn the page. It never made me feel like I was stuck on a page or suddenly there was a drag and I had to get through a certain section of it. So that was cool. Did it leave me wanting a next issue, continued story? I have to give credit to the creative team. They definitely made it so I want to see the next issue. They once again left me in a point where I want to know what happens next, and that's always a great thing to see from a creator. I like the cliffhangers, as anyone who's read Fetish Babies will see. I like leaving the fan of who's reading this at a moment where they want to come back and they don't feel like anything's concluded. Oh, that was the end of that program that night. So I definitely like that. I'm a huge fan of doing that and teasing things. So I definitely want to see that. Where the characters were interesting and relatable. The Knight is getting a lot more interesting as things go on. He definitely became more of a 3-dimensional character, and more things were kind of given away about him in this next issue. And I thought he was a lot more interesting than he was in the first book. And I think that that's a credit to the design of the character, as the character himself is evolving as the story is being told. So I thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. The new characters that were shown in the comic book that the preview I got to read of issue number 2, and I should say it's a preview. When I was given it, there might be slight changes made to it. So this is based on that preview, but I don't think there's going to be big changes to the story. If anything, I think they're just going to add something to the end. So I feel confident in this being a final product, basically, that I'm reviewing. But with that said, the characters that were introduced were really cool. I really like Dragon Breath. That was the name that we were given. I'm not sure if the other ones were identified as in or have been fully identified, so I won't call them out by name, but I'll just kind of point to him with the mouse here. He's a badass. I'm going to give you a little hint of the powers. She can manipulate the dead, and this guy, kind of a badass version of Doctor Strange. Just to give you a little teaser of who they are, and I'm going to let the creative team tell you more about them in the coming weeks. But these are all characters right here that are very interesting. He's like very skilled at killing. I'll give you that as his tagline, and he's evolving. And he's definitely changing. The character that we knew him to be in issue 1 isn't necessarily the character we're going to know him in his issue 2. And I think there's going to be an evolution of the character that's kind of interesting to watch. I don't want to give too much more away about it, so I'm going to leave it at that. And we're going to go on to our next question because it's a great story. And if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't want to take away the excitement of learning it for the first time. Obviously, it left me wanting more because you can hear I'm actually holding myself back from talking about it, and that should tell you something in itself. So we're actually already on to question number 6, is what were my thoughts of the overall comic? Very positive thoughts, actually. I was very impressed by it. I do think it changed. There was talk of the art getting better, and it did. The art did, in fact, when we did the Spoken Sins interview, with Mr. Martinez, we really did talk about there becoming a change of art, and the art's going to be improved from issue 1 to issue 2. And I do see that growth of the artist in issue number 2. I'm going to show you some stuff from issue number 1. I'm on the wrong video right now, but here was issue number 1. So the art does improve, and that's not to knock issue 1, but to give credit to issue 2. So I thought they moved on that way. I thought the story itself got bigger and better, and I think it got to show some of its secrets, and it got to show the characters in a light that we hadn't seen yet. So that was kind of cool. Do I recommend this comic to others? Not only do I recommend it, but I'm going to go ahead and give this. This is Mr. Andersin approved. What that means is that I will be investing in the Kickstarter. I do want to see the 3rd issue come to be. Forget about issue number 2. I think it should be funded. I don't see any reason that it should not make it all the way. I'm excited to see it hit Kickstarter. I'm going to be backing it. I'm going to be sharing it as much as I can, and I encourage everyone who's watching this video while the Kickstarter is live to do the same thing. But more importantly, I think the storyteller, I think the creative team behind the story, they're all doing a fantastic job with this story. I'm really impressed. I'm really happy that I got to be able to preview it and read it before anyone else. I'm excited to see it hit the world and be something bigger. I do think this story will have legs, and I do think that it's telling a very big story that's going to get fans involved. For all those reasons, I made it an Andersin approved. I thought the art was fantastic. The storytelling was great. I like the tone of the story. It can be serious and have a sense of humor all at the same time. It's a great project. I wish I could tell you more about it because it's one of those things that, I mean, if anyone's read it and wants to talk about it, I'm definitely open for talking about it. It's one of those projects. But because I don't like spoilers, I'm giving you teases. I'm giving you just a little on the show and just a tiny bit extra. Nothing that'll ruin it for anyone who's hopefully not read issue number 1. I've given you more incentive to go out and invest in this Kickstarter and be part of issue 1 and 2. But that was my review. Mr. Andersin reviews The Night, issue 2, hitting Kickstarter in mere probably minutes, if not hours, from me filming this. So I do encourage you all to be part of this. Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Andersin Reviews, and I will see you all on the next review. YouTube audience, don't forget to always subscribe to our channel so you can see all the brand new stuff that we have coming to you. We do at least 3 to 4 videos a week. So subscribe now so you never miss a video.